Hi people, Vintage Zach here. Today I'm going to be going over my thrift finds from the week. I shot a trip to the thrift originally on my new GoPro, but the sound didn't sound right, so I figured I would just show the finds here. I have a couple clips of me in the thrift store actually finding a few of the items, but the whole trip to the thrift thing just didn't work out because of the sound quality on the original tape. So next time I'll be smarter about it and try to figure out how to make it work the whole time I'm thrifting. But for this episode, it'll just be me showing off my favorite finds. The first thing is this denim Carhartt jacket. It is blanket lined, super high quality. Cool jacket for sure. It's a size large. Next up is this vintage Champion Notre Dame windbreaker. It's probably from the early 2000s, honestly, so it might not be vintage just yet, but it's pretty close. It's a size large, just Champion on the back. Clean embroidery. Found a couple of these before with Penn State on it, but never Notre Dame. I've been finding a ton of Notre Dame stuff lately. I have no idea why. I know Notre Dame is one of the most popular schools around here, just in passionate fan bases, so maybe that could be why. I mean, obviously, I find more like Pitt or Penn State stuff, but I would say that Notre Dame is probably a third. Next is this vintage Atari shirt. It's from 2001, and it's on a changes tag. Normally, I don't find changes stuff from the early 2000s. It's usually 90s. Yeah, it's single stitched. It's a low-key shirt. I also found a couple of Hard Rock shirts. I think this design of the earth is one of my favorites that they did. It's on a really thick Hard Rock tag. These are just like, I feel like for people that are around my age, these are like the first shirts that like you remember like growing up in and wearing. And now that they're vintage again, or now that they're vintage, it's really fun to like find them again. And I find a lot of people that look for this type of stuff. Here's a Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood's my personal favorite out of the two. It's on another thick tag. And it's single stitched. Low key, I don't know if it has a date. No date. And another low key Hard Rock Miami shirt. And another size medium. This one's double stitched. Now I'm getting to a couple of the shirts that I found in the videos you saw earlier. These must have been donated by the same person, and I must have just got there at the right time because they were all kind of right together, and they're all from around the same time. So first things up is this Fifth Avenue Hershey Bar t-shirt. It's on this really good Screen Stars Best tag, single stitched. It's dated 1992. The graphic is so clean. Seems like this shirt probably wasn't even worn. It's overall, I know candy shirts and all that kind of stuff are really popular right now, so this was a good shirt to find. I've never had a Fifth Avenue before. Here's a nature tee. I just like the rainbow trout on it. Good color. Double stitched. It's on the jerseys tag. And yeah, I just pick up these animal shirts all the time. I like the waterfall in the background. Here's a vintage Firehouse shirt. After I got this, I listened to a couple Firehouse songs, and they weren't half bad. I'd never have heard of Firehouse before, and I just thought it was like hilarious with their hair on the shirt. Like, it's so 80s. And it's on a Hanes. This tag is from the late 80s, early 90s. and shirt's dated 1992. The back is just so sweet. Hold your fire. Here's a shirt from Busch Gardens, Escape from Pompeii. I don't think I've ever been on this ride before. It's on a jerseys tag, and it's double stitched, probably from the early 90s. So a thing about this shirt too, if you can tell at the bottom, the original owner had hemmed it, and it was basically folded up and stitched, and I cut it down. So it's gonna take a good wash and like iron or steam to get this off, but it should clean up pretty nice. The graphic itself is shiny, sparkly. Here's probably my best find from this week. It's a Guns N' Roses Metallica tour shirt. When I found this, I lost my mind. It was amazing. And 1992 World Tour. My first Guns N' Roses Metallica of either shirt. It's on this good Fruit of the Loom tag. This shirt was also hemmed at the bottom, and I unhemmed it. It should come out once I clean it. But yeah, so I mean, these shirts, the Fruit of the Loom, they fit pretty long normally, so I can tell why somebody did that. I'm happy they didn't cut it. That would have really sucked. Yeah, such a sweet shirt. Super high quality. A lot of people argue that this is like the best tag. Next concert shirt I found is this Little Texas shirt. They look really goofy, honestly. That's what the band should be called, really goofy. It's on the Tennessee River. I listened to this band too after I found it, and I wasn't that big of a fan. Their song God Bless Texas is kind of catchy. I've heard it before, but the rest of the songs are just like kind of weird, honestly. This on the back, I collect country western shirts, so this one's going to go in the collection, but it's something that I probably, I wouldn't be looking for online or anything. It was more just like I found it, so I'm going to keep it. Next up is this F-15 Eagle shirt. It's really cool how the graphic is like this 3D, like computerized picture. The tag is one of the Screen Star's best from the early 90s. Whenever I first found a shirt like this, I thought it was like the craziest thing ever, and it was like worth a ton of money. But it turns out that these shirts are pretty common, but they fit great and they're cool design, so can't really argue with that. They're just not super valuable or anything. I mean, they could have gone up in price, but I'm pretty sure they're not that valuable. And single stitched. They definitely went way too hard with designing these. Next, still up with that same person who donated all these other shirts, is this vintage Penguin shirt. 1992 Stanley Cup. Single stitched on this competitor view tag. Really thick. These next couple shirts were in that video I showed. Pikes Peak, probably from the 80s. It's on this really faded tag. Very thin, single stitched, and just a good classic tee. Here's a vintage 80s Fiero shirt. I think that they were a sports car. I'm not sure if they're still around or not. It's on usually these tags are a lot thinner, but Screen Stars, and since this A on stars looks like that, it means that it's from the early 80s, so it's probably from like 1983. But yeah, it's unworn, it seems. Single stitched, nothing on the back. I didn't know much about it, but usually I pick up shirts whenever they're that old. Pretty much no matter what they say, especially if they're in this good a condition. I mean, you just never know if someone's looking for something like this or not. Next up is this vintage Harley shirt. It's on a jerseys tag. It doesn't really have a date, but it has this little Harley logo. Can't really read. It's kind of like chipped off, but usually when they have this, it's from the early 90s or late 80s, or just 80s in general, honestly, but I would assume that this is from the early 90s just because all the rest of the shirts are pretty much from that time period. Next is this Smoky Mountains shirt on a American Sportswear super generic tag. Really beautiful landscape shirt and single stitched, nothing on the back. Here's a ScoobyDoo sweatshirt, and it's dated 1999. A lot of ScoobyDoo stuff is going up in value. Probably not sweatshirts as much, but t-shirts are, so definitely look for ScoobyDoo shirts. It's on this tag, Cartoon Network, and on the bottom is where it has the date and manufactured by Freeze. Freeze made a lot of cartoon shirts. They usually make like Taz shirts and like Looney Tunes and stuff. So, yep, 1999. It's embroidered with that Scooby-Doo American flag. Nothing on the back. So the second half of that stuff was from that store that I found all the stuff in. You know, the Carhartt and a couple of the other things were found in another store. Here's the kind of the second half. I went to 2 more stores and I found a few other things. So Mickey and Friends from Florida. There's no date on it, but it's on. Literally, I have not found this tag in, I feel like, months, and I found it a few times. It's on this Fruit of the Loom vest, so not a Screen Star's vest, Fruit of the Loom, single stitched. I just love how like 90s this looks. They're just like the design and like what the characters are wearing. Nothing on the back. Just the colors really pop on this one. Here's a Buffalo Bills sweatshirt from 2001. Kind of cool. It's almost like a jersey style sweatshirt. The sleeves aren't as tight towards the end. And nothing on the back. Next is one of the cooler finds. This is a Clockwork Orange shirt. It's double stitched all around and it has this sports club tag, size small. And the tag itself to me looks old, but the stitching and everything seems a bit new to me. So I'll have to do some research, or at least more research. I try to do a little bit and find if this is a real deal or not. But these shirts can go for a lot if you find one that's actually legit. You know, this one could be old, could be early 2000s. I would assume that this tag is from, 2008 or older, but you just never know. Like, this shirt could have been printed yesterday, could have been printed 20 years ago. You just never know. So you got to do some research on the tag and where they released it and stuff like that. Next is this Nike gray tag tank top. Rarely find gray tag anymore. Just cool top. It's got that 90s style of like real 80s and 90s style of like real like thin muscle shirt. Here's the tag. Really beautiful tag. Here's a wraparound wolf shirt. It's called a wraparound because the graphic is like on the front and back and kind of goes around in a circle. It's on a habitat tag. I always see these for animal shirts. It's single stitched. I don't know if it's dated or not. Yep, 1991. Very crispy graphic. Always got to pick these up. So sweet. Here's a Mark McGuire shirt from the Cardinals, and it's dated 1998, and it's on this late 90s Toltecs tag, super thick. I'm pretty sure Toltecs discontinued this tag around 2001, so if you see this tag, you know that it's either vintage or very close to being vintage. Nothing on the back. First Mark McGuire shirt. And lastly, I found two of these Carhartt fire-resistant flannel shirts. If you are out looking, Carhartt FR means fire-resistant, and usually these type of clothing go for a bit more just because people need it for work and they're higher quality items, so they're a little bit more expensive. I just bought them because I rarely see Carhartt flannels like at all, especially if it has a patch like this. Usually it'll just have this little nubby thing, and it'll say Carhartt on it. So I just bought it because of that. I know that if you find Carhartt fire resistant jackets, they sell very well. I had no idea about these. I haven't even looked them up yet, but yeah, good find. Okay, that's all my finds for today. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content. I'll definitely be trying to figure out the camera situation for when I'm actually outside finding this stuff. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at VintageZach. And my website is vintagezach.com. I post all my finds on there. I post some of my better finds in store on my Instagram first. So if you want to see things a little bit before the video comes out, make sure to give that Instagram a follow. Let me know down in the comment what finds your favorite, and thank you guys again for watching.